Do you want to start collecting sealed product in the One Piece trading card game but don't know where to start? Do you wish there was an all-inclusive guide that gave you a detailed breakdown of all the sets to give you a better understanding of what you should be collecting? All that and more on this episode of Beginner's Guides. But first, attention all One Piece fans, the Buzz will be running a giveaway of an illustration box featuring the beautiful Nami and Boa Hancock promo cards for one lucky subscriber on the road to 1,000. To enter, all you need to do is like, comment, and subscribe, as well as be a resident of the United States. Anyways, guys, that's it for now, so back to the video. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to One Piece Beginner's Guides, where I do my best to teach you everything you need to know about collecting the One Piece trading card game. For today's episode, we're going to be covering sealed product from sleeve booster packs all the way to cases of booster boxes to help assist you in your collecting journey. If you haven't already, please go ahead and watch our first episode in the series where I do a detailed breakdown of everything relating to cards and collecting cards in the One Piece trading card game, which I'll go ahead and I'll put up right here. But for now, let's go ahead and get right underway with booster boxes. All right, folks, so let's get right underway discussing booster boxes and cases. Now, you're probably wondering why we're going to be going in reverse order in terms of overall cost and pricing. And the reason why is because I think booster boxes and cases are the best overall investment of your money to secure your collection in growth over time. Sealed product is something that has been growing substantially in One Piece over the past year, especially. And the most amount of growth I've seen in my personal collection has come from booster boxes and cases. Now, of course, as I emphasized in the first video, and I will continue to emphasize throughout this entire series, the most important thing you can do is to collect what you like and what you can afford. So if booster boxes are not on the table for you, it's totally okay. I'm going to show you several other options out there in the sealed product field that you can add to your personal collection and hopefully see a good amount of growth in your collection over time. Now, when we're talking about cases and booster boxes, it's really important to go over case hit rates. And the reason why this is going to be so important in terms of understanding how you want to collect and understanding the collectability of sealed product in the future is because there are some cards that can only appear in a case one time or a limited amount of times. So for example, as I mentioned in the first video, you have 2 SP cards that you're guaranteed per case, depending on the set. Some, for example, PRB01, you have 2 Gold Dawn cards that you get instead of SPs. For EBO2, you get 2 alternate art leaders instead of the SPs that kind of fill in that role. But the point is, there's limited hit rates. So for that, for the SPs and the alternate art leaders from EBO2, Gold Dawns, that's all you can get currently. Additionally, there are other cards like Treasure Rares, which you get 1 Treasure Rare per case. You also get an alternate art SEC, which kind of varies depending on the set, but you can get 1 or 2 of those depending on the set. So for example, for OP11, Dom and I have actually opened up 2 in a case before, so it is possible to get multiple copies of the alt art SECs depending on the set. As well as looking at single case hit rates, you also have mangas. It's, from what I've seen, impossible to get more than 1 manga in a case, with the hit rate being 3 to 4 cases to pull 1 of them. So again, very limited in terms of being able what you can pull. Following that, you have the manga event cards now as well. Manga event cards, when OP10 came out, it was 1 manga event card per case. Now it looks like it can vary. With OP11, you can get up to 2 of them. I actually had a case where we pulled 2 manga event cards, and that has been the pull rate I'm guessing for that set. And moving forward, we'll see what Bandai decides to do with the manga event cards, but that is it. And the main reason why I'm going through here and discussing the case hit rates is to emphasize the map ability of the hit rates inside of a case. The reason why that's important is because there are some things called dead boxes where people pull out all the good stuff. So they pull the 2 SPs, or they pull a manga card and SPs, or they pull the manga cards, SPs, and they pull all 4 alternate art leaders, which I did forget to mention that a couple minutes ago, which I'll add in now, which is that a case typically has 4 alt art leaders. You can't pull the same leader. So as soon as you pull, like for example, an OP9, you pull a alt art Shanks. Alt art Shanks is no longer on the board for you to be able to pull out of that case. But my point remains the same, which is that the mapability of cases in One Piece it's a benefit and it's also a detriment to collecting. And the reason why I say that is because it's a benefit in that you know exactly what you're getting. Bandai's very upfront and telling you, hey, this is what's in our cases. If you buy a case, this is what you can expect, and that's great. Some people prefer to have that mapability and have that knowledge beforehand when it comes to buying anything. Me, on the other hand, I came from Pokemon, and I enjoy the randomness that comes with buying anything Pokemon related. And so it's been a little bit of a change in mindset getting exposed to One Piece, where everything is so mappable. One of the stories that one of the experiences I went through, and a story I like to tell when it comes to understanding the mapability of One Piece, is Dom and I, we were at a local card shop, and there was someone there who purchases a ton of sealed product. This is when OP9 just came out. He walked in the shop and he was like, hey guys, we had known each other through previous encounters, so we were somewhat acquaintances, and he walked up to us like, hey guys, I got one box of OP9 left in my case. It's a guaranteed alt-art leader of either Luffy or Shanks. I already have pulled them multiple times. I really don't care about getting them. If you want to, you guys can have the box for X amount of dollars. And I was like, there's no way this is really this mappable, right? Like, it's impossible. So I'm like, okay, we'll pick up the box. We end up picking up the box, and what do you know? We opened up the alt art leader Shanks from that box. Again, these cases are very, very mappable. And when it comes to collecting, it's our job to make sure that we are doing the best to ensure that our collections offer the most value over time to grow. And the reason why I think this might be a little bit of an issue in the future, or I wouldn't even say an issue, but it might be an easier sell of a case of product versus an individual box, because that individual box can be dead. In comparison with, for example, Pokemon, even early sets of Pokemon, you are going to get a certain amount of holographic cards. If we're talking of base set first edition, there was a certain amount of holographic cards you would get in a box. Holographic cards could vary. There's been recent technologies where people are actually scanning to get their boxes, like they have an MRI of their boxes done to see what holographic cards are in there. And that creates a little bit of a morality dilemma, right? If you know that your base set first edition Pokemon box, which is selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, doesn't have a Charizard, are you going to sell that to somebody under the premise that they might get a Charizard? And One Piece is kind of in a similar situation, of course, though not nearly right now in the terms of value or expense of what a box costs, but in that if you open up a case and you pulled a manga and 2 SPs, are you going to just hold on to those loose boxes and sell them in 10 years and sell it to somebody under the premise that they have a fair shot of being able to get a manga or an SP from there, where the mangas and SPs are probably going to be the most valuable hits in the set? I don't know. And that also goes to the other issue here, which is that you have to be really, really careful of who you buy loose boxes from. One thing Dom and I have discussed ad nauseum is that when it comes to purchasing loose boxes, we only purchase them from trading card stores that we're very, very trusted. And of course, the reason for that being is that if you are buying from somebody on OfferUp or Marketplace, they might not be disclosing to you the fact that the boxes can potentially be dead. And that disclosure is going to greatly impact the value of the box. For example, if someone is selling you a box they know is a guaranteed 2-hit box with no chance of getting an SP or a manga, that should diminish the value of the box. So one thing that we like to do here at the TCG Buds is on our streams where we sell One Piece products, we mostly sell boxes, and we only sell them from fresh cases that we purchase directly from trading card shops, is we track the cases. So if someone goes on our stream, what we like to do is we have a little banner there that says, hey, OP09, you have mangas, SP, and this many alt art leaders available. As soon as the case is quote unquote dead, as in you can no longer pull an SP or a manga, we notify people on our stream immediately of that. So they come in and ask a question. We say, hey guys, full transparency, this is what's left in the case. And the other thing we like to do is we like to throw a discounted price onto the box under what TCG player pricing is, just because we understand that most people are here to collect the SPs, the mangas, the alternate leaders, the harder to hit cards, right? So we like to be open and transparent with people in order to build a reputation of trustworthiness with our community. And I urge you to find people who do the same. Find people who are willing to be transparent with you and are willing to tell you without a shadow of a doubt, this is the hit rates that are inside the boxes. And again, I don't know what this is going to look like in the future. I'm a little bit hesitant. I myself do have a couple loose boxes in my collection, which I know personally are random. I bought them from a card shop randomly, where they weren't tracking the case. It could be a manga, it could be an SP, I don't know. But there is the possibility that there are some people who are retaining dead boxes in their collection to just go ahead and sell them at some point. Again, I like to think about the best when it comes to people's judgment and morality, but unfortunately that is something that you need to be aware of when it comes to collecting sealed products. So whenever you buy a sealed product, make sure, number one, you're getting it from a trustworthy source. Number two, if you do purchase a case and you have some boxes inside of your case that you're holding on to, please be transparent with people and say, hey, look, manga was pulled out of this, or an SP was pulled out of this. You have a chance of getting an SP or a manga. I think for the community in general, when it comes to collecting, that transparency is going to be really, really important to being a fair and healthy community and growing it. So that's the first thing I want to discuss for case hit rates. Now let's go ahead and look at each one of the sets so you can get a better understanding of their value and their collectability in the long term. Okay, so now that we've gone through case hit rates and I've given you a better understanding of how case hit rates might affect your collecting of sealed product, let's go ahead and jump right into some TCG player analysis of every One Piece set that has come out. We're going to start, of course, with OP1 Romance Dawn, and this is where it can get a little confusing. When it comes to One Piece collecting, I don't think there's anything more confusing when it comes to sealed product than OP1. And the reason for that is because there's actually 3 versions of it. So the first one you're going to see right here is something called Wave 1 Blue. As you can see, Wave 1 Blue is going for $1,426, very expensive. And then next to that, you're going to see something called Wave 2 White, which is going for much less than that. So to make this as easy to understand as possible, to give a comparison to Pokemon, when Pokemon came out, they had base set first edition. And what Wave 1 Blue is first set base edition. That's what that is. It's the first ever printing of the One Piece trading card game. For the reason why it's called blue is because the bottom of the box is blue. And for all the secondary prints for OP1, the bottom of the box is white. So that's why when you see Wave 2 White here at $435.37, it's because the bottom of the box is white. For OP1 Wave 1 Blue, the bottom of the box is blue. So that should summarize it pretty easily. As you can see, again, booster box case pricing is very, very high on this. I think for obvious reasons, right? It's the first ever set of One Piece. When it comes to collectability, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these boxes in your collection. I personally have one of each in my collection, and these have just been blowing up recently. As the card game has been going up over time, so have these boxes. So for example, just in the last couple of months, this has jumped from $1,250 from June to now being $1,406 in July, guys. That's less than a month. A blue bottom has gone up over $150. Meanwhile, for the white bottom, again, I think a very, very good purchase price at $435 if you can afford it. Still has plenty of room to grow. Again, it's like having a base set box, just not a first edition version. You're seeing some pretty good growth on this from April at $405. Now it's at $435. This is something that I think has a lot of potential to grow, and I understand that $435 is a lot of money, but if you're looking for sealed product, it's in your price range, you can afford it. Even if you can't afford a blue bottom box, highly recommend you get a white bottom box and add that to your collection. Just let it sit there in your sealed product collection and let it go up more over time. I'm not going to discuss the case prices on this just because they really do vary and they are very, very expensive. There's different case prices between a white bottom case versus a blue bottom case, which can complicate some stuff. So just keep it simplified. And in terms of what I wish I would have known when I first started collecting, just know that there is a first edition box, which is the blue bottom, and anything else that's OP1 related that has a white bottom is not first edition. Now, the other thing I want to add to that I think is important to note is that the cards are also a little bit different. So I'll go ahead and put up the probably biggest card that has the largest differences right here, which is going to be the Nami. The Nami for OP1 first edition is called the pre-errata version. So There's actually 3 versions of this card, which again, I'll go ahead and put all those up there. And the main way you can differentiate it is on the description. The description is a little bit different on all 3 cards. So the pre-errata card is from the first edition set. Meanwhile, the cards with the change variations either came from the errata 1 or errata 2. So just some important stuff to note. Again, when it comes to Pokemon, for example, a first edition Charizard with that first edition stamp, much different in value from a reprinted copy. So again, I'm not going to say that Nami's going to get to that price, but for pre-errata cards in the future, who knows what they're going to be, and that's an important thing to note when it comes to you collecting your sealed product. So moving on there, we're going to Paramount War, and Paramount War can also be a little bit complicated in that there is a first edition print of Paramount War, similar to, for example, first edition Fossil in Pokemon, where the bottom of the box is red. Now, I haven't seen that premium at all. I did some research on eBay, and there was maybe like a $25, $30 premium on a red bottom box versus a white bottom box. Again, if you're looking for a first edition, try to get that red bottom box, especially for a somewhat of a small markup in $25, $30. But if not, if you can get a white bottom, I think that's fine as well. Paramount War, an interesting set, of course, dedicated to Marineford. The Ace manga is the #1 chase card from this set, which is a pretty cool card. I like it. But in terms of overall value, it's sitting at $197 a box. Again, it's gone up pretty heavily recently in terms of year to date. So it was at $160 a year ago. It peaked at $232, and now it's coming back on a dip a little bit at $193. I've heard that OP02 is no longer in print run with OP01. I've heard OP03 through afterwards are still technically in print run, even though, as we'll discuss, I really don't think that's the case. But I think Paramount War is a decent box to buy if you can afford it. Throw in your closet. There might be some better alternatives, which I'll get to later on as we start talking about OP09. But again, just giving you a brief overview. Good collectability. It's a decent set. $196. I think somewhat justifiable, maybe a little bit less I can see it going to, but in the future, again, likely a good buy to pick up over time. All right, guys, so now we're going to be discussing OP03 Pillars of Strength. Kind of an interesting set in that it's sitting at $232 right now. I personally don't like this set. This is the set with the Soga King manga, which I think is the least popular manga. It's also one of the cheapest ones. Again, if you're a big Soga King fan, aka Usopp, spoiler, and you enjoy that and you want to have that in your suit collection, go for it. But I think you have way better alternatives you can get, especially at this price point. The box pricing has been booming lately. OP03 was, if I recall correctly, one of the most hated sets in the early stages of One Piece. I can't say I blame him again with the Soga King manga. Not really anything memorable in terms of the cards in this set. $232, I think you could do much better with OP05. I'd recommend skipping this and getting another box of OP05, but again, personal preference. As we move on to now OP04, we have Kingdoms of Intrigue, and I actually want to start off by showing the cards in this set just because of how beautiful they are, especially this Boa Hancock SP. Beautiful, the watercoloring, they have that, you have the Law, you have the Edward Newgate. I think the cards in the set are really cool, really nice. Of course, you have the Sabo manga, very affordable price actually at $340 if you're looking for a good card to pick up. But let's go ahead and let's move over to the sealed product side here as we look at a booster box of Kingdoms of Intrigue sitting at $192. Honestly, pretty decent pickup. Let's go ahead and let's look at the market value on this in terms of growth over the last, we'll go last year actually. So a lot of ups and downs in terms of pricing. It peaked at around right now, which is $192. It's been sitting there for the last month. Again, if you're looking for a decent box to throw in your collection, there's a possibility of going up over time for $192. I think it's a pretty good buy, if you especially want to diversify it from other sets around that price range, like OP09 or like we saw in Paramount War. So I'd prefer this one over Paramount War. Again, whatever your guys' preference is, that's the most important thing when it comes to collecting. So now we're getting to what I like to call the evolving skies of One Piece. So any Pokemon fans out there, Evo Skies is a set that is known to break your heart, thus the nickname Evo Cries. So OP05 Awakening of the New Era is a very comparable set to Evo Cries in that I've heard people describe this, I think very accurately, as this is the manga hunting set. And the reason why, as I'll put on the screen here, is that this is the first set actually in One Piece to have multiple mangas with the Eustace, Captain Kidd, the Law, as well as the first appearance of a Gear 5 Luffy manga. So that Gear 5 Luffy manga to a lot of people is their grail, and I forgot to mention what is even more people's grail. It's my personal grail, the Oda Signature, which is also available in this set. All these cards are very, very expensive, most notably, of course, being the Oda Signature, as well as the Gear 5 Luffy. So if you're buying this box, that's pretty much the only reason you want to open this. And we'll go ahead and we'll go over to the individual cards for this set, where you're going to see what I'm talking about, in that the rest of the cards in the set just don't have the retained value that the manga Luffy and Oda do. So manga Luffy right now sitting at 3150 lowest listed. Lowest listed for a raw card, guys. It's crazy. Next to that, of course, like I mentioned, you have the Oda Signature card, my personal grail card I have in my PC. I will never get rid of it. Sitting at 1300. And then it goes to the Lost 730. Kid is where it starts dropping. But even then, you have really great SPs with the Nami and the Yamato. Even Uta, another fan favorite. A lot of playable leaders in here with the Bello Betty that's been blowing up. Of course, you have Enel, and you also have the Purple Luffy, which has been viable for a while. So there's just a lot of really good cards in this set, making it kind of a perfect storm when it comes to purchasing. And that's why I think OP05 is the best set that you can throw in your collection next to a blue bottom. In that there's just so many collectible cards in this. There's going to be retained value over time, I think, for sure. And at that price point per box was sitting at 232, I believe, right? Sitting at 234. Again, would I rather have this or Pillars of Strength? Without a shadow of a doubt, I'd rather buy 2 boxes of OP05 to throw in my sealed collection than have 1 box of Pillars of Strength in there. Again, personal preference, but if you're looking for product to buy to add into yours, I highly recommend at least having 1 box OP05. Following OP05, we have another set which I think was really, really great, which is OP6 Wings of the Captain. I probably opened this set the second most out of every set in One Piece. I probably opened up over a case of Wings of the Captain. It's one of the sets that I actually have a few loose boxes in my personal sealed collection. This, of course, the #1 hit being the Zoro manga, the first and only Zoro manga that is available in the TCG, as well as that you also have the Demon King Zoro, which appears as the alt art SEC. So again, guaranteed 1 alt art SEC in the case. Super, super sick card. I actually have that card in PSA 10. It's really, really great. Not going to get rid of it anytime soon, but for that price at 152, I buy every box you can for 152. 152, very, very good pricing on this box. And the important thing to note that I have not mentioned yet is MSRP for One Piece boxes. So MSRP for One Piece boxes is $120. So when it comes to determining what price point you should be looking to buy boxes, ideally, of course, you always want to buy something at MSRP or below. Given the surging in collecting right now in all the trading card games, especially Pokemon One Piece, hard to find boxes at that price. You will typically see a lot of One Piece boxes going for 160. But again, if you can find a box of OP06 at 152, even though it's still over MSRP, I think it's a very, very fair price. Highly recommend you strike in on that if you can find a box. After that, we have a absolutely insane set in EB01. EB01 sitting at the second most expensive box price out of all the boxes we've gone over, including OP05. And if you don't know anything about EB01, I'm going to give you a brief overview for why this is, which is that EB01 had a ton of meta cards in there. And the thing about EB01 is that it just wasn't printed at all. I believe it only had 1 full print run, and then Bandai said, all right, that's it. We're going to move on from here. So it's a set that has a lot of meta cards in there, and it's a set that wasn't printed very much, which can create a very, very big surge in cost when it comes to purchasing. So let's look at EB01 for the last 6 months. It was at $229, and now it's jumped nearly $100. $100 since January. Sitting at $318. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. Again, I'll say with a little bit of an asterisk, the thing you should pay attention to is how important this set is to the meta, especially with the announcement from Bandai that they're going to be doing block play, which block play means that they're going to be having different sets, different cards from different sets available to be played over a rotationary period. I'll make a secondary video going through all that. So again, if you're confused or I'm not doing a good enough job explaining that, at a later point, I'll go ahead and I'll explain the impact of rotation, how it can impact your collecting, and so on and so forth. But just know that for this set, there's a pretty big premium on the fact that it just wasn't printed enough, as well as the fact that there's a lot of meta cards in there. I personally don't have a box of EBO1 in my collection. If you can find one and you want to add one, of course, do what you like. I personally would stand away from this one, and I would rather buy another box of OP05, or even get 2 boxes. You can get a box of OP06 and a box of OP09 for that price. So again, feel free to do what you like, but I would steer clear of that set if it was me. Moving on from there, I think this is one of the best, most affordable sets currently. As I mentioned, MSRP on One Piece box is $120. So you're seeing 500 years in the future at $128 right now. 500 years in the future, I think, has a lot of good cards in there. The #1 chase card being the Boa Hancock manga. I think this is a set that has a lot of room for growth. The question is, I think it's a matter of when, not if, it will go up over time. Typically with One Piece sets, you see them go up more as the printing starts to relax on them. So for this in OP06, it's kind of been in a fluctuating state, and that's been going up a little bit, it goes down a little bit. And I think the reason for that is because of again, the print runs that are coming out for it. So again, 118 when it first came out, dropped down to 115, went back up to 118, 118, 123, and now it's at all-time high at 128. I think this is a set that really has a lot of room for growth, given that it has some decent cards in there for the meta. The Boa Hancock manga, super cool card. Boa, one of the favorites, of course, in One Piece. So especially for that price at 125, again, guys, you could get nearly 3 boxes of 500 years in the future for the price of 1 box of EBO1. I think I'd rather have 3 boxes of 500 years, but that is completely up to whoever is making the purchase. Following up from that, we have 2 Legends. I would say is my least favorite set in the trading card game. The #1 hit in this set being the Manga Rayleigh. There are some really cool SPs, though, with the Bonnie and the Ace. A lot of meta cards in this set as well. I think the $105 price tag is very justified. If anything, I actually think it's a little bit too much. It's been going up pretty steadily over time. So load all-time at $95. We'll go 6 months here. Load $82. Then it went to 92 in April, and now it's kind of almost at all-time high. All-time high was 109. It's in at 105 right now. So it's peaking nearly all time. But again, when you think about MSRP on a box of One Piece being at 120, this is one of the rare cases where you can still purchase a box for under MSRP. If you are looking to just get into the One Piece trading card game, this is a set that Dom highly recommends that people get into if they want to start opening product and kind of get an experience as to what to expect, just because it's the most affordable, if not one of, it's one of the most affordable, if not the most affordable set in One Piece. So I think I would agree with him in saying that if you're looking for something to open and you don't want to spend a bunch of money, you're just trying to get a feel for the trading card game, I think OP8 is a great buy. In terms of throwing it in your closet for long-term growth, I don't think it's there. I would skip it. I would rather pay the extra $15, $20 and get another box of 500 years. Following that, we have PRBO1. My goodness. I'm going to have a hot take on this one. $296.15. This thing has been booming like crazy ever since it came out. Bottom at $216.88. All-time high right now at $296.15. This is a set that breaks my heart in that Dom and I were actually going to buy a case to hold on to right before the boom started happening. We were able to we actually opened up a case of product together, and we were like, wow, this set is really cool. We're going to we're going to purchase another case to go ahead and throw in our personal collection and just hold on to for a while. And we had the opportunity to do so at $160 a box, guys. $160 a box. Thinking about now that it's almost doubled in price. I mean, it breaks my heart. But we showed up to our trading card shop the following day. So we just talked about it. We're like, okay, we just went to the card shop the other day. They still have PRBO1. They had it at $160 a box. This is again right before the boom. We're like, okay, let's go and let's throw our cash together and let's go get a case. We drive to the we drive to the local game store. Show up there, like, hi, we're here to buy a case of PRBO1. They're like, yeah, we just sold out a couple hours ago. And then ever since then, it's just been waving goodbye to it. in the rearview mirror as just been passing us by. And I don't think it's going to stop. That's my hot take. My hot take is I don't think this set's going to stop in growth. I think it's going to keep going up over time. And the main reason why is because this has been the first set to implement God packs into the One Piece trading card game. God packs, if you look at Pokemon, any set that has a God pack in it typically retains really, really good value over time. With this being the first set to have God packs, not only just that, they're God packs with manga cards, with manga reprints. I don't see this set going down anytime soon. Gold Dawn's, of course, going up in popularity over time. A lot of meta cards inside of this set. Again, the whole point of PRB01 is to print the best cards in the most recent sets. This set, I don't think, is going down anytime soon. Wasn't printed very much. No longer in print circulation. PRB02 right around the corner. While this one is peaking, I think this is going to the moon. If you can get a box, even if you can get a box just slightly under this, if you can get like 10% off the 296 value, so say you can get it for like 270, buy it. I'd say buy it. Throw it in the PC, throw it in the closet for a while. I think you're going to see some really, really good retained value on that set over time. After that, of course, my favorite set of all time, OP09. So we have Embers of New World booster boxes sitting right now at $187, case pricing around $2,000. So when you look at the box pricing, we're going to see that it bottom all-time low, $138.40, peaked all-time high, $197.05 in May, and now it's sitting at $187. I think the reason why you're seeing a fluctuation in price, again, likely having to do with reprints that are coming out for this set. It's a set that's still somewhat new, still going to be printed out probably within the next, I would imagine, 4 months. Again, I'm not sure Bandai's print schedule, in that Bandai is in the process of catching up, at least for the English sets, to the Japanese sets. They're trying to have global releases by next year. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. We'll see. I don't know how that's going to affect the printing of all these older sets, but that is to be determined at this point. But again, OP09, my personal favorite set. 5 mangas you can get in this set, guys. 5 mangas. You get the manga Goldie Roger, you get the manga Luffy, manga Shanks, manga Blackbeard, manga Buggy. I think a set that has that many mangas is going to have room for a lot of growth over time. Not only that, the SP cards are so cool in this, in that you have all the beautiful SPs, you have really cool wanted posters. Bandai has released different variations of wanted posters in previous sets. I think the wanted posters in this set are my personal favorite, and even includes the Gear 5 wanted poster Luffy. I think this set has a lot of collectability over time. Again, if you're looking for something in this price point at $190, I think this is still a really, really good buy. I have a couple of these boxes in my personal collection that I don't plan on getting rid of anytime soon, and I can see a lot of room for growth in the future. The complete opposite and contrast of that is going to be Royal Blood. We have OP11 sitting at $100.76 a box, case pricing of $1,022. This is a set that reminds me very similar of OP08, although I will say I think the SPs in the set are a little bit cooler, right? You have the Usohachi SP, you have the Edward Newgate SP, which I think is really, really cool. The other thing that's important to note is that there's a lot of good meta cards in this, similar to OP08. I also think, though, and this is what the key difference between this and OP08, the manga card in this set is going to be the Law manga, which is the second Law manga so far. I think Law is a way more popular character than Rayleigh, just because of the manga card available in the set. I can imagine there being more growth for this box than OP08 in the future. And this box is actually cheaper than OP08 right now, which is mind-blowing to me. Again, if you're looking for something to rip, I highly recommend getting a box OP10 for this price at $101. You're paying under MSRP by $19, which is very, very great. You can't complain about that in any trading card game, especially modernly. So it's a good buy if you're looking to rip. If you're looking to throw it in your seal collection to hold on for a while, I'd probably pass. I'd rather use that $100, pay the extra $20, and get another box of OP07, or again, you know, pay an extra $50, $55, $60 and get a box of OP06 and throw that in. After that, we're going to go to EB02. Kind of a complicated one in that, again, a lot of the collectability of this card is solely based off of the alt art leaders that are reprints of all the most popular leader cards that are in the game. Actually, it's not the most popular ones. It's just a reprint of the leaders, and a lot of those leaders, though, being ones that are very meta. Again, with the implementation of rotation play, I don't know what's going to happen in this set, given that it's so meta heavy. So in my previous video, when it came to when it came to collecting cards from the set, I actually recommended that beginners don't collect any cards in the set because they're so meta based. And when it comes to sealed collecting, if you want to throw a box in your collection, I don't think you can go wrong with that. But I honestly have no idea what this is going to look like in the future. I think the Gear 2 Luffy manga that's in this set is awesome. A lot of people's favorite Luffy manga. I don't think they're wrong for having that belief. I think it's a very cool manga. I prefer the OP05 one. I actually also prefer the OP11 Luffy manga, the Gear 4 Snake Man. But again, if you think that Luffy manga is cool, you just want to throw a box or two in your personal collection as a sealed product, I don't think you can go wrong with that. I just don't know where it's going to go in the future because of how meta-based the set is with the cards that are in it that retain the value. After that, we're going to OP11, a Fist of Divine Speed, sitting at right now $136.15 a box, case pricing just under $1,500. I think this is a really, really great box to get. Of course, you have the introduction of I think they're super rares. I also saw that's an SEC variation, which is crazy, but you have the gold Buddha Luffy as well as the silver Luffy in the set. Of course, you have the Gear 4 Snake Man Luffy manga as the manga. Luffy mangas, when it comes to the sets, any set that's had a Luffy manga typically does pretty well over time. I think the SPs in the set are beautiful. I think they're really great. I think the art on them is super cool. I think this is a set that is super undervalued right now, and I think this is the only reason why it's this price right now is just because it's recently in print. So again, all-time high upon pre-release, $201 a box, sitting right now at $136.41. I think this box could easily surpass. I think it could surpass OP06 within the next 6 months, and I think it should be right around OP09 pricing, I think, within a year. It all depends on the printing. So if Bandai is not able to keep up with the printing because they're trying to catch up with Japan, they're probably not going to be able to print very much of this. So now might be a really good time to buy some boxes of OP11 to throw in your sealed collection. I think it'd be a really good buy, again, because of the possibility of getting the Buddha Luffy, the Silver Luffy, super cool cards, retain a lot of value. I think no matter what, over time, the set's going to go up just because of those two cards. After that, we're going to look at the most recent set, which is coming out very soon, which is the Legacy of the Master Booster Box. We're dealing with OP12 now. Sitting right now, pre-release at $158.89. One thing I wanted to know with the set, guys, is I do not recommend ever buying a set at pre-release. You'll typically always see this stuff drop off over time, as I mentioned throughout going through all the sets. You notice it peaks pre-release, drops down, and then peaks again over time as the print starts drying up. So peaked right now, pre-release $197.93. It's already coming back down at $158.89. I can see this at release going for around $140. Again, we'll see what happens. A lot of meta cards in this set. Of course, you have the manga Jewelry Bonnie as the manga card in the set. Bonnie, a very popular character, especially with, spoiler alert here, the most recent anime episodes, of course, with Kuma's past. I think Bonnie's going to be a really important character in the future. I could see this set retaining some good value. I don't know where it's going to end up. I think it's too early to tell right now, but I think it will have some decent retained value over time. I, again, do not buy this set for $158.89. For any new set that comes out, you should always be striving to buy it for MSRP, which is $120 a box. Of course, there are some variations for that. For example, for OP09, the hype was so big around that set being dedicated to the 4 Emperors. Upon release, it was going for $160 a box at my local game store, and they do their best to give us the best price in the community. I was completely okay with buying it for $160 a box, and as you can see, the pricing already is at $190, so you already have some increased value in that. For OP12, again, don't buy anything pre-release. Always wait until the first day the set comes out to be able to gauge it. I actually also like to wait until a week after release to be able to get a better understanding of the current market environment for a set. But that is it for the sealed boxes and cases for every set in One Piece. Now, let's go ahead and let's discuss the secondary products, starting with sleeved booster packs. All right, guys, we're moving on to sleeve booster packs. I don't really have much to say in that there's not much really to be said about them, in that I just don't see them having a lot of retained value over time. Of course, I can be proven wrong, and I'll even acknowledge that there's a possibility, a very high possibility, that I'm incorrect in seeing the collectability in them. When you look at Pokemon, for example, sleeve booster packs in Pokemon, if you have a base set booster pack, it's going for a lot of money. If you have a fossil booster pack, it's going for a lot of money. Or even more modernly, right? If you're looking at tag team, so like a tag team sleeve booster pack is going for $150, $200 right now. I acknowledge that there's a possibility that these go up over time. The only reason why I personally am hesitant to purchase them and to keep them in my sealed collection is just because I don't see the long-term growth at a same pacing as a booster box or case. However, it's important to note that this video is to tell you everything about collecting sealed product, not just to tell you, hey, only collect booster boxes, only collect cases. If you're looking for a really affordable thing to purchase, sleeve booster packs are a really good buy for you. The hit rates in them are completely random. I will say, though, be careful in who and where you buy them from. There is speculation going around that these packs are actually weighable, and the reason why is because all it is a cardboard. It's a piece of cardboard with a pack inside of it. There's nothing to deter the weight except for a hit. So be very, very careful when it comes to purchasing sleeve booster packs from anywhere, even a retailer. I've opened up several of these for a variety of different sets. They're really fun to open, and they're also pretty easy to find in the wild. So I wouldn't even purchase it online. I would just go to your local Target, Walmart. You can probably find, especially for the recent sets, these sleeve booster packs in person. If you want to throw a couple inside of your collection, by all means, go for it, and I wish you the best of luck in your collecting journey. But for now, we're going to move on to the discussion of tins. All right, guys, moving on to discussion of tins. Tins are a new product that just came out, first starting with OP9. And what the tins come with is they come with 2 packs in there, as well as a Dawn card that can vary depending on whatever tin you get. So, for example, in OP9, you can get either the Luffy Dawn or the Goldie Roger Dawn. And I actually think that these have more collectability than sleeve booster packs. Me personally, I'm not sitting on a bunch of tins inside of my personal collection, but if you're looking for something way more affordable, I think this is a really good alternative, in that you can find tins between $10 to $20, depending on the set, pretty easily. In terms of hit rates, again, the hit rates are allegedly random. I can't say for certain, though, in that it's still unknown whether or not these are truly random or if there's case hit rates and stuff. I will say, though, I have seen for OP11 people pulling a Buddha Luffy and a Silver Luffy out of the tins. It's definitely a possibility with the more recent sets to be able to get the best cards. So again, if you're looking for something to throw in your personal collection that's more affordable, I think that's a good alternative. I prefer that actually more than the sleeve booster packs, just because, again, you get that Dawn card added to your collection, and some of those Dawn cards can actually retain a decent amount of value. One thing that Dom has told me that he's striving for and collecting in the future are Dawn cards, and I can definitely see the appealability of that, in that the Dawn cards are being utilized to play the game. So if you have a Dawn card that's 15 years old, if we're looking in the future, that might be more appealing to someone who than just having a sleeve booster pack inside of your closet. Again, preference is to the individual. I think the tins are a decent purchase, and if you have 10 to 15 bucks in your pocket and you stumble across one, go ahead and purchase it. If you want to open it, I'd say feel free to open it, but if you want to hold on to it, of course, do what you please. All right, so now we're going to move on to the 2-pack deck boxes. Moving on, we're now going to be talking about the 2-pack deck boxes, also known as the double pack sets. These are actually the first product that I ever opened when it came to purchasing anything for One Piece and opening for fun, to just to be exposed to the card game. I think they're a really good alternative in that you can find them pretty affordably, around $10 to $20, as similar to the tins. But the way these work is that it's a deck box. It comes with 2 packs in there, as well as a Dawn card. So kind of one step ahead of the tins. I will say my experience in opening these, I've never pulled anything good from there. I'm not saying it's not possible. Again, I have seen people pull some pretty incredible things out of these 2-pack boxes, but me personally, I always get a leader pack and then nothing in the secondary pack. It might just be a Nick luck thing, but in terms of long-term collectability, I would prefer the tins over these. They're a really good option if you're just looking to play the game, because you get a deck box and you also get a couple packs in there. If you're looking for something for fun to open, I think it's a good thing to open, given the affordability of it, as well as the fact that you can find them pretty easily. In terms of overall hit rates, again, I think the hit rates are randomized. However, I will say, from my experience in opening in some of these for OP09, I did see that you got typically 1 alt-art leader in an entire box. And again, I didn't open up an entire case, or whatever the terminology is for the entire set that comes inside of the double packs. But I did see some videos where people did open up an entire case of them, and it only came with 1 alt-art leader in OP09. So I believe there might be some applicable hit rates. It might be variable. I can't say for certain. But again, when it comes to sealed product, if you want to throw some in your closet, I don't see there being much growth for these over time. Again, though, as a contrast, Pokemon, for example, the Build and Battle boxes, which comes with 4 packs, it's a deck box, and it comes with a starter deck. Those have gone up very, very high over time depending on the set. So there's a good possibility I could be wrong about this, but it's just something that I'm not personally collecting or throwing into my sealed product collection. But anyways, guys, now we're going to move into the last section, which is going to be discussing blister boxes and promotional items. Moving on to blister boxes. So this is actually a very recent product that's been introduced by Bandai. And what they are is they're these illustration boxes. They come with 2 packs of one set and then 2 packs of another set. So for the illustration boxes volume 1 and volume 2, it came with 2 packs of OP8 as well as 2 packs of OP6, and it came with 2 really cool promo cards. So in the first illustration box, it came with a Nami and Boa promo. I think both those are super cool, very popular waifu characters. I have a couple of those inside my personal collection. I'm gonna hang on to those. I can see there definitely be a good amount of collectability and a premium on there given how cool those promo cards are. Just keep in mind though, guys, these have been widely printed, and I think some of them are still in production, so just keep that in mind and when you're throwing stuff into your collection, as well as keeping an eye out for being able to purchase them in person. I was able to grab a few from my local Target, and I opened up one of them and I put one inside the closet. So that's my game plan with that. I highly recommend if you can find them, pick them up. Aside from that though, they have the second illustration box. In the second illustration box, you have a promo card of Black Maria and Yamato. Yamato, of course, being a super popular character. Black Maria, not really. I would urge you to get the Boa Nami promo card illustration box instead of the Yamato Black Maria, but whatever you can find is what you can find. I do have a Black Maria and Yamato promo box in my personal collection as well, next to the Nami and Boa illustration box 1. So again, when it comes to promo cards, I always do my best to try to keep as many sealed products in my personal collection, just because I think there's a lot of room for growth there. But most recently, Bandai did announce the illustration boxes 3 and 4 coming out with the newer sets. It's going to have, as the promo cards, you're going to have a Luffy and a Mihawk. I think they're pretty cool cards. They look like they're going to be a good amount. There's going to be a good amount of collectability there. But again, keep an eye out, guys. Your local Target, Walmart, these are going to be widely in print. Go ahead and add those to your personal collection if you can see them. If you want to open one up and, you know, just enjoy opening the packs, it's a good alternative to buying a booster box. But again, if you're looking for something that has some good collectability and a good possibility going up over time, I think these illustration boxes have a very good chance of that, especially when the promo cards are in relation to popular characters like Nami, Boa, and Luffy. So go ahead, guys. If you can find one, throw it in your personal collection. Highly recommend. Now, let's go and let's discuss the last part of this video, which is going to be about promotional products. All right, so we made it to the final discussion to be had in this video, and that is for promotional products. Now, I want to set the premise out here that every product I'm going to show you right now is going to be shown as being a pretty expensive price, but that's the prove a point here. What I mean by that is that a lot of these products you have to order months in advance, and I'm going to kind of give you a brief overview of how that all works and the things that you can do to kind of prepare yourself if you want to grab some of these products. But a lot of these have to be purchased a very long time in advance. Bandai takes a while to be able to produce all this stuff, and as a result, you see the price of these be very high at the time of release or over time, because again, the collectability of these is pretty high given the rarity and how hard it is to be able to get one. I will say that a lot of these products at MSRP are very affordable. A lot of them are underneath $100. If you can get one at MSRP, highly recommend you do. And again, I'm gonna give you a brief overview later in the section as to how you can do that and what you can do to monitor that. It's not impossible. It's not like there's a bunch of people running around with bots like with Pokemon. I will say it definitely has gotten a lot harder, but I'll give my own personal experience as to how I've been able to acquire some of these products that I was able to add to my personal collection. So we're going to start off here with the first anniversary set for the English version. So the way that the anniversary sets is that every year Bandai does an anniversary set dedicated to a certain region. So for example, the Chinese anniversary set is going to be different from the English set. Japan's going to have a different set, and they all have a variation here. So for the first anniversary set, which came out over a year ago, you have this Japanese watercoloring type of background. Of course, you have all the straw hats here. The cards are super cool in here as well. I think that any promotional product, any product that has promotional cards is going to be a very good buy for long-term value. Currently, the price is sitting, again, for this person, I don't recommend buying from them, 98% on eBay. Not good. I'm just using it as an example. But the pricing on this, and we'll ignore the euros, is $282. This went for sub $100 on release. So over a year, it's almost tripled in value, guys. Tripled in value just because it's a promotional item that wasn't printed very much. It was hard to get, and it's gone up over time. So if you're looking for a really safe bet to your personal collection, promotional products, I think, are one of your safest, if not the safest, up there with booster boxes and cases. So another example of that, we just went through a detailed outline of the illustration boxes. There was actually one that was a limited release for One Piece Fest 2025 earlier this February, which is the Lucci and Bonnie promo versions. It comes with 2 packs of OP09, 2 packs of OP08, and again, though, it comes with the Rob Lucci Jewelry Bonnie promo cards that you can only get out of this set. This illustration box, again, illustration boxes typically run you $30, is going for $220, guys. $220. I was lucky enough in that I was able to go to the grand opening of the One Piece store in San Diego this year, and they had these boxes available. I did have to wait in line for a very, very long time. They had a multitude of other products as well. Unfortunately, though, I was only able to get this box, but again, I'll say that as fortunately, because that was the main thing I really wanted, given that there just wasn't many of these that you were able to get. I don't think you were even able to pre-order these on person. You had to get it from a Bandai store, or you had to get it from One Piece Fest. So very, very lucky and very blessed that I was able to add this to my personal collection. But if you have a Bandai store next to you, or if you are able and lucky enough to go to One Piece Fest, definitely keep an eye out for all promotional products to add to your sealed collection. Now, following that up, we're going to go to the second anniversary set. This came out more recently. This was one that I was able to purchase directly through Premium Bandai, which we'll get to Premium Bandai in a second, which is that's the number one go-to you're going to want to be tracking and following in order to know what products are releasing and when you can get them. So the second anniversary of this set for English was dedicated to the 4 new Emperors of the Sea. So it comes with the super, super cool Alt Art Leader cards for Shanks, Buggy, Luffy, and Blackbeard, and it also comes with 4 alternate art cards for dedicated them as well. It comes with super cool playmat as well as 10 Dawn cards. This is sitting right now at $260. Again, don't recommend you buying it from the seller. He only has 3 reviews. Be careful, guys. Always vet the viewers on eBay for buying it. But you know, if you're looking to add something cool to your seal collection, I think this is going to go up more over time. It's a really, really safe buy with any promotional product that you're going to have a safety net to ensure your purchase is going to go up more over time. So like I said, I think anniversary sets are a good example. Again, when this first came out, you could get it for sub $100. So think about it, right? Someone who purchases just on Premium Bandai, you had to wait 6 months to get it. I think I bought mine in February, and it just got here less than a month ago. So you're waiting 5 to 6 months to get it, but you're spending less than $100, and now it's worth $260. It's just crazy. It's a crazy return on your initial purchase. Again, I'm a huge fan of the 4 Emperors, the 4 new Emperors of the Sea right now, so I don't plan on moving mine anytime soon. I'm actually getting all these cards graded. I opened it up. Yeah, so it's all personal preference, but I opened up my first and second anniversary sets. My game plan is to get those both sequentially graded, so we'll see what happens with that. But following that up, we have the most recent product to be shipped from Bandai. We have the Nami Playmat, as well as the Zeus alternate art card from Bandai Fest 2025 this year. This Zeus card was released in OP11, so this is a special alt art version of that card, which was only released at One Piece Fest for this event with the playmat. You were, however, able to purchase it online twice. So you were able to purchase it during One Piece Fest, and then they also had another window to purchase it, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks after the fact. But again, I think this playmat and the Zeus went for sub $50, and now it's sitting at $145. Again, I was lucky enough to be able to get one, and I'm going to send the Zeus off to go to PSA to be graded. The Nami playmat's going to be in my personal collection for when I just continue to play the game. I can just use this playmat for fun. But again, Nami, a very popular character. You have a unique art style here with Zeus. It's a beautiful card. It's going to go up over time. And again, it's a promotional product. There's not very much of this. If you were able to get some of this, and not only that, there was 2 chances to get this. 2 chances to get this playmat. And the promo card, I think that it was definitely hard to get this. It wasn't impossible. Again, I was able to get one. You just have to be diligent and be able to track in the release days and times of stuff, which we're going to get to right now as we go through Bandai Premium. So Bandai Premium is going to have all your important cards to note and release days of certain things that you should be able to track and know pretty much by the back of your hand if you want to try to get some cool stuff into your sealed collection. So another sealed promotional product they have are these premium card collections. This one already came out, or sorry, this is from February 2026. So these premium card collections come with different variants of meta cards or non-meta cards. It just provides new variants that you can only get from premium card collections. Dom has one of these in his personal collection, I think from I think it's like volume 1 or volume 2. I did purchase one of these for I think volume 3. And again, there's more variations to cards that are in the meta or not, but again, they're promo cards, they're very hard to get. But here's another example. This is one that came out very recently. I actually missed this one, and I'll tell you why I missed it in a second. But this is it comes with it's the Zoro Playmat Limited Edition Volume 4. Comes of course a Zoro Playmat and an OP12 variant of the Zoro's leader card, which is the card that I hope to play in the card game. So I'm really bummed that I missed this one. But the reason why I missed this one is because I wasn't tracking the release dates on Premium Bandai, which is where you want to be able to do all this stuff. And you know, as a result, I wasn't able to get one. They sold out very, very quick. I think it sold out within 30 minutes, maybe even less than that. I remember they released at 4 a.m. So all the West Coast people out there like me, we're SOL again, and that we have to be really diligent. And there's some helpful people though to be tracking all this information from. So don't feel overwhelmed like you need to have this all written down on a calendar. Andy Collects, who I'm gonna put up his information right here. He's a very, very helpful source when it comes to anything One Piece. He's always tweeting out stuff actively and keeping people engaged and notified as to all the items that are releasing in the One Piece trading card game. So highly recommend, guys, if you have a Twitter account, aka X, and you haven't followed Andy already, please give him a follow. He does a really good job of keeping people informed in the One Piece community about all the release dates and stuff. So I personally need to thank Andy for helping me on several occasions be able to get stuff that I probably had no idea was coming. But be sure to definitely track that. Track Premium Bandai. Again, there's a lot of cool stuff here that they tell you and they allow you to order. So example, the illustration boxes that I alluded to earlier today, we have the Mihawk and Perona one with OP11, OP12, and an OP08 pack. As well as the Luffy one here, which I'm guessing is going to come with Zoro. It does, Luffy Zoro. So keep an eye out for these illustration boxes, guys. Again, looking like it's releasing on August 22nd. If you can order one on Premium Bandai, I definitely recommend doing that. It's like ordering from the Pokemon Center. If you have been following Pokemon for a while, less likelihood to deal with some crazy queue though, like Pokemon has to deal with. Just be diligent. All right, guys, thank you so much if you watched this entire video for getting to this point. I really and truly do appreciate you following me on this journey as I try to give as much information as I can when it comes to collecting the One Piece trading card game to assist you in your collecting journey. Now, there are some products that I did not cover, and I'm going to give a disclaimer for why I didn't cover them. So most notably are the deck boxes, like the starter decks boxes, as well as the Devil Fruit boxes. The main reason why I didn't cover those, especially with the starter deck, for example, I just don't see any collectability there. Those are their primary function is be able to play the game. Sure, for Pokemon, some really old starter decks retain value, and the main reason why is because of the cards that are inside there either are super valuable, or because there's a promo pack in there that retains some value. So while that is potentially the case when it comes to One Piece, I know some people who are collecting all the starter decks, and if that's something you're interested in, go for it. Not something I'm very interested in, and I also just don't see any long-term collectability to that for this game. And the second thing being the Devil Fruits. Devil Fruits take up a ton of space. Dom, I purchased him one for Christmas last year. They take up a bunch of space. Again, I just don't see the collectability. Comes with 2 packs in there. Personally, if I have a Devil Fruit, I want to put it on display. I'm not going to keep it sealed in my sealed collection where no one's going to be able to see it. So I don't recommend buying Devil Fruits. But again, if you're looking for something to open and something that's super fun and interactive, the Devil Fruits are a really good buy because it comes with a Devil Fruit that you can put into your that you can put on display somewhere in your house or in your setup on your desk, and it provides some good something One Piece related that you can have to express to people. Me, on the other hand, I don't have that kind of space in my house, and I don't like throwing in stuff that takes up a lot of space in my personal collection for stuff that doesn't retain much value, and likelihood the Devil Fruits are not going to go exponentially over time. Again, possibility if the pack prices go up, you're going to see the devil fruits go up, but I just don't see it compared to the other stuff out there. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this entire video. If you did, please go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. There's gonna be plenty more of these beginner guides coming out to you. My game plan is to have one every week covering a different topic when it comes to collecting One Piece. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to throw them inside of the comment section. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. What do you guys think about this series? Do you think it's cool? Do you think you know, a lot of the information I'm saying is helpful? Has it not been helpful? Let me know what you guys have to say about it. Let me know your feedback. And that is it for this episode, guys. So I'll catch y'all on the next one.